reconvene into open session. And we have all in attendance. On item number 7, that we discussed in closed session, there will be no action taken in open session. We are instructing staff to go back to the requester with just a couple of questions to firm up the scenario for us, and we'll leave it at that. Moving on to number 9, updates on current projects, Mr. Schock.
All right, lots of updates. On the South Riverfront plan, the planners have been working on that. As you know, they had public sessions in June, and they've been meeting with stakeholders throughout June and July. They are planning to attend and have an open house before the PlanCom on 8/20. So you'll receive update of that from Tony, for the possible quorum. They'll have an open house here in the lobby before the Planning Commission meeting, and then they'll present some of their thoughts on the plan, or their progress to date on the plan. Our goal is to kind of wrap both of those, both the South Riverfront plan and the Towers area plan up in the next couple months. It's been moving along, so that's the goal. They'll have that open house on 8/20 and then come to PlanCom and present draft findings on both of those, both the South Riverfront plan and the Towers plan. Yeah.
I have a question. With those two plans, because they've been kind of the subject of, I would say some wide public interest, they're also of interest to the council. When the plan is completed versus just draft form, can we have them come and present?
Oh, yeah, of course.
At a council meeting, though? Because I think
Yeah.
you want a better attended meeting to have that presentation, and I think it's of interest to all 11 members rather than just us or just the Plan Commission. And, then the Plan Commission could perhaps be invited to join us at the council meeting to hear those findings, but I'd like that presented at the council level if we could.
Sure. Would you rather not have them come 8/20 to PlanCom and rather
Well,
have
if
them
it's-
come to the council?
If it's just draft findings, it's not a problem, but at some point, I'd like the council to hear
Okay.
what they have to say, just like we did with the a visioning study that we did with the mall area.
Yes, okay.
I think doing that in a council meeting setting as a presentation before the business meeting is helpful.
Okay, great.
If they can hang around after the Plan Commission meeting, they're not the same night, right?
They're not.
They're not. So,
Yep.
if they're not up to make 2 trips in that same time frame,
We'll
once
work
they
on
have
it.
that plan finished, if they
Okay.
could put something together for council, I think that would be of interest.
Great. We'll take that under advisement.
Okay.
The River's Edge Master Plan is planning a September open house. So, like we said, August open house for those two. The River's Edge Master Plan, they were also in a series of public engagement sessions this summer. They had a booth at the summer kickoff at Marathon Park. They had lots of feedback from different groups about about the thoughts of updating the plan. They're looking at a September open house and a fall adoption as well. Would you like them to also come as a separate time to come? Okay, good. We'll just make sure that both
Yep.
of those.
I think all of
look
those are
at-
issues that the council as a whole has been following.
Sure.
And it's just easier to do it in that setting than to conduct a committee of the whole so everybody can receive information at one time.
Yep, sounds great. We'll make sure to note that. Then the River Life Villages Phase 1, obviously, work has started there. It's been light, mainly because they are in the throes of getting their state plans edited. The state plan approval process is backed up, a statewide issue, really, just because there's a lot of things going on. But they are in the throes of that. We're aware of that. We're having weekly coordinating meetings with the contracting firm and with our engineer on the progress. So we're hopeful to see when part of those plans are finished, they will pour a floor. That will likely happen soon, and then wall construction can begin. They're going to move as fast as they can. So. Great. At 120 Scott, we have a signed option agreement with the merge development folks. They have been working together with the Towers area planners as well. They will soon start a engagement process where they're going to meet with stakeholders and adjacent landowners and whatnot as they put together some options for that parcel, for that block, really, as we're also kind of giving thought to the future of the McClellan ramp and how that fits into everything in that area. We were thoughtful in devising the Towers area plan because we wanted it to be, to examine the entire area, not just one parcel or one project, because there's a lot going on, and there's various considerations as we own the entire block there. The life of the McClellan ramp is short or starting to wind down, and of course the Catholic block itself, which has potential in the future as well. So, any questions on that? That will go on for 6 months, at least. We expect to hear from them, in the early fall, kind of probably, I would imagine they'd be making presentations or starting to share some things to staff and to the committee and whatnot before the end of the year. Okay. The Livable Communities Group, as you know, Wausau was honored to be the 4th community in Wisconsin designated by AARP as a livable community, and our first meeting with stakeholders took place. So hosted by the mayor and the ADRC, that we had very good turnout. Probably almost 50 people attended the meeting. Different stakeholders from a variety of different organizations, from housing facilities, the hospital, lots of different folks that work, especially with folks that are aging or elderly, and other aspects of the community as well. So there's going to be, that first meeting was, we think, a success, and in collaboration with the ADRC, we will set up a stakeholder task force, which will then continue to meet for quite some time. The AARP process is kind of diligently long, that's thoughtful in the sense of nothing happens too quickly. There's a lot of listening sessions and feedback sessions that are purposely built into the process, and so that'll happen over the next, probably well into the next year, as that goes on. But already, we're seeing some of the fruits of that. AARP's task force or team in Washington, has agreed to look at our new draft of our zoning code and provide comments and thoughts on that, to ensure that the code is, to kind of provide insight on livability. So they have experts at the national level that are looking at, things like that, land use issues, accessibility issues to housing, and building code issues and things like that. And so they're already kind of looking at our zoning code and providing some feedback. So that's positive. On Ponderosa, we have been, the CDA board has been negotiating with the county for the potential acquisition of that site. We expect an actionable item to be at the CDA board this month. So we'll see where that goes. And then on the mall, I think the mayor would like to give some thoughts.
Good afternoon, everybody. As you're all aware, and I'm pleased to report that the Wausau Center is for sale. Now, to share with you of what we know about what's going on, we are aware that there are many ongoing discussions with potential future owners, both local and national, with Rialto, the loan servicer. While I'm personally disappointed that Rialto was unable or unwilling to move the mall forward, I also acknowledge that rarely does a lender take a leadership role in their redevelopment. Also, while the city is willing to help, we shouldn't be and we cannot be the only partner to address the mall. I've stated this again, and I stress this very strongly. The city does not own the mall building, and we are not purchasing the mall, unlike what some people say in social media. But we are willing to help in the redevelopment process. Also, as it's been noted previously, the redevelopment process is rarely quick. But to start that process, last year, the city of Wausau, with assistance from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, led a market study and vision plan for the future of the mall area. At that time, we also assembled stakeholders to adopt a strategic statement, which I'd like to once again reiterate. We encourage that if the current lender owner of the mall is unable or unwilling to implement a pragmatic redevelopment, we encourage them to sell the property. And again, we have held them repeatedly to this goal, and I'm pleased that they are finally moving forward with the potential sale. As I had stated to them, if they were unwilling or unable to invest in the future of Wausau, they needed to sell that facility to somebody who would be. We encourage local ownership and management of the facility in a long-term partnership with the city and community stakeholders. We are pleased that local investors acknowledge the importance of the redevelopment of the mall, and as a city, we are pleased to be a limited partner. We encourage the physical transformation of the property, which may include demolition of certain parts and/or an opening of the existing structures to the street. Our vision plan is a practical plan, and I hope that future owners will look at that site with the incremental redevelopment in mind. We encourage increase on-street and surface parking where possible on the site, and already the city has developed plans to increase the surface parking along with bicycle and pedestrian improvements on Washington and Forest Streets that will improve the marketability of the mall frontage and the frontage of adjacent properties. And finally, the strategic statement noted that we encourage the opportunity for hospitality, entertainment, housing, and limited office uses, which was reflected in the Phase 1 study recommendations from last year, and adaptive redevelopment of the mall to diversify use of the property and site. Our strategic statement and plans have proven to be timely. We welcome a new owner, and especially local ownership and/or management. We look forward to working with the new owner, who will undoubtedly work to solidify the current tenant base and implement redevelopment opportunities. Downtown Wausau has been very successful and is a vibrant location. And again, as we noted many times, that the Wausau Center must change and adapt, and we are confident that the Wausau Center area has great potential. I'm both excited and very open-minded to see what can come to fruition. But in moving this forward, not everything can or will be done by the city of Wausau by itself, as it seems to have been in the past. Just wanted to give you an update. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to bring to everybody's attention that our next meeting is scheduled for the 3rd of September, the day after Labor Day. Just want to make sure that that's not a conflict with anybody and that we'll have representation at our meeting.
We'll be here.
Okay. That being said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have a question before we adjourn. I should have asked this perhaps when we were approving the minutes, but in June we talked about the back and forth between the mall in terms of their rent calculations and all that stuff. Is that resolved?
No, it's not. So we do hope to have, they haven't, the mall ownership hasn't responded to the feedback that we provided last time, but we are obviously, and one of the feedback was that they needed to list the mall before we even entertained anything else, and now they have listed the mall, so I think we're kind of in a, we're a bit of in a limbo period here. We expect the offers process to move fairly quickly, but it might be appropriate, and I have discussed with our counsel, with Doug Buck, the idea of would we want to entertain, perhaps we should entertain at the September meeting, just another extension of that period of time, just trying to determine where it's going.
It sounded in June, sorry to interrupt, but it sounded in June like they wanted to replace the previous arrangement with an internal report certified by the property manager, and that should have happened already, right?
Well, that's what they had.
One can wish.
They had asked for a series of, they had informally asked, if you recall, through our attorney in verbal writing, and our response back to them was, One, you have to write it in a formal request. If you recall, we had asked for a formal request in writing, and we had said we also wanted to understand the timeline and that they needed to list them all, because that was kind of the important factors. So we gave them that feedback. We've not heard back, but we are aware that they have listed them all. So I think we're in a limbo period, but it's probably wise for us to, to wait and see a bit longer on the status of the sale, because obviously any potential buyer would be coming into the city with a broader proposal, not just changing the reporting from, that I assume they'll have or maybe they'll be fine with the existing package, although that's unlikely. I assume they're going to come in with a drastic proposal that will change the ground lease and air rights agreement more fundamentally. So Doug's recommendation was perhaps we would extend that period of time, to not enforce our collection as yet, but, obviously to see what happens, because we are aware of the sale, and we believe that the sale may happen quickly. So, and when we say quickly, within a short amount of time, a couple months kind of timeline, it should be more obvious as to where it's going, if anywhere.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Hope that answers your question.
Sigh.
Yeah, well, this could be a moot point at this point.
Can't always make you happy, Pat,
But we'll keep trying.
That's right.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please. I have one from Mr. Peckham and a second from Mr. Martins. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.